Yo, what's good, boys? So I've had a bunch of comments on my YouTube and my TikTok asking for a movement guide, and this is going to be it. So I'm going to cover a lot of topics, pretty much as I can think of. It's going to be super advanced, super detailed, and in-depth. I'm going to go over redirects, combos, slide canceling, centering, crouch spamming, drop shots, using doors effectively, and then pretty much just like breaking cameras. And I'm also going to be showing some in-game examples, so how you can bring these techniques to like your in-game scenarios. But without wasting any more time, let's get into it. Okay, so before we jump in, I just want to give you guys a quick overview of like my controller settings, just so you can have a little context for what buttons I'm pressing while I'm doing the tutorial. I do play claw, obviously right hand claw, as you can see, and I do play with paddles on the back as well. So my right paddle is my crouch, as you can see, and my left one is jump. And this is what I think most people with paddles play on, this same setup, so it's pretty standard. And I do also play on default flipped, which means instead of shooting with my R2 and L2, I shoot with R1 and L1. So you can just see this here. If I shoot, aim, shoot. Okay, so the first thing is slide canceling, which I'm sure you all know about, know how to do. One thing I do want to correct, I don't want to go too in depth with this because this is super basic and super surface level. But there is long slides versus short slides. So this is a long slide would be like this. And a short slide would be like this. For the short slides, I think they do look very ugly in my personal opinion. Of course, doing different slide durations are situational. And if you do need to get out of your slide faster, obviously you can do a short slide so you can shoot and aim faster. But most of the time, if you are trying to look smooth and make it look a bit better for clips, I'd recommend doing a longer or like a medium slide, just because it is way smoother and more like fluent. But I quickly want to touch on the short slides, which are actually kind of hindering your movement and your momentum if you are doing them consistently. It's actually not resetting your tack sprint the same way that a long slide cancel would. So I'm going to try and demonstrate that here. There's a very short duration right when you get out of that short slide that you are going to be going a bit slower than your tack sprint would. So let me just show that here. You can see I'm kind of like slowing down as soon as I get out of it, whereas a long slide would be like this. And you aren't really slowing down as much. You're kind of just continuously keeping that momentum. You can keep going right away. So another thing I want to go over is drop shotting. This is going to be super long because this has been around forever. Everybody's been drop shotting in COD since I've started playing COD. But there is another mechanic with drop shotting that I do want to show you guys. And I'm going to show you guys an example of this after I kind of demonstrate this here. So this mechanic is just doing a standard drop shot, but you're going to be adding a jump to it. So you're going to be drop shotting just how you normally would. And you're going to be adding a jump after. So in the example I'm going to show you guys in a quick second, you're going to see my character go all the way from this prone position to being up in the air within like a frame or two. It's a really good technique and it's super simple to do. Again, all you're doing is drop shotting and spamming jump. So I'll throw that example up right now in the third person so you can see what it looks like. So as you saw there, it's a very quick position change from being centered to drop shotting to being up in the air instantly. This is actually pretty hard to track, especially in close range scenarios. So the third movement mechanic I want to go over is b-hopping before we get into any combos or redirects. And just to show you guys before I explain it, it just looks something like this. So to start off doing a b-hop, you obviously need to be doing your tack sprint. So I'm going to try and demonstrate how to do this very slowly. Let's pretend somebody's in this doorway here. So I'm going to start by starting my sprint going in this direction and then keeping in mind my target's over here. So as I start this off, I'm going to be running in this direction, jumping and looking in this direction, aiming mid-air. And then as I'm landing after my first jump, I'm going to be jumping again. So I'll give you a little demonstration what this looks like. Something else I wanted to point out that I forgot to mention was that my left joystick is always going to be going the same direction that my momentum is going in. Okay, I'm going to jump over to a quick in-game scenario of this example we just went over, and then we're going to move along.
Beginning of the game.
Okay, moving along. This one's not that important, but I did want to touch on it briefly. It's something I like to do sometimes when I'm committing to a fight, or the shots that I'm taking, I am committing to killing that person within those shots that I'm taking. And it's crouch spamming, but also with a bit of strafing. So I'm just going to demonstrate that really quickly here. So this is not only making it harder for them to track you vertically because you are crouch spamming up and down, but if you are throwing in that left to right as I just showed, that's going to be harder for them to track you horizontally as well. So it's just if you're not committing to a full drop shot, if you're not doing a bunny hop left to right or right to left, whatever it may be, this is just something that you can also throw in to kind of mix it up a bit. Just that quick left to right spam while crouching and uncrouching. This is not me spamming crouch because this is how fast you can do it spamming crouch. This is me actually doing crouch and then jump. So when you jump out of your crouch animation, it's much faster and resets it much faster. So as you can see, this is me crouch to jumping versus me doing this right now, which is just crouch spamming up and down. So that was just something super short and simple that you can just throw into your little movement tech and maybe throw that in a gunfight here and there. It's just something I like to add. Okay, before I go into some more advanced techniques and the redirects and combos like I mentioned, I did want to kind of talk about centering beforehand. So centering is where your crosshair is positioned when you're moving around the map. Optimally, you want your crosshair at the upper chest level at all times, but of course no one is perfect, so it's a lot to ask to have perfect centering at all times. So with that being said, this is where like map knowledge can come into hand. So this is obviously not on Rebirth, but if we do use common angles like doorways, or if we hear a sound cue where somebody is, these are just some indicators we can use to make our crosshair in an advantageous position. I'll show you what you shouldn't be doing. So for example, let's say we just heard somebody inside that doorway here. That's probably going to be coming out and peeking us. So watch my crosshair as I do this. And again, this is something you would not want to be doing. And if I were to do that and somebody was coming out of this door, my crosshair would have to go all the way from down here at the ground all the way up to readjust to where they are. And this is why your crosshair placement is so important, because essentially you want to have the least amount of travel distance to your target for when you can shoot. And this can just full on make or break a gunfight for you to get the first shot off, or them to get the first shot off on you if you are placing your crosshair all the way on the ground and then you have to adjust all the way back up just to get that first shot on them. And a more ideal way to do this would look something like this. I'm just going to run around the map here and demonstrate how I would kind of position my crosshair if I were running around. But this is also just kind of going back to that crosshair placement and the map knowledge as well, and just knowing common angles. But as you can see, I'm leaving my crosshair at relatively a center point where like their chest would be. And I do a little bit of a pre-aim, as you notice when I just like tap my aim button. But I'm always going to be like looking at angles where they could possibly be. So I'm always going to be ready if somebody is in that spot. If they're in a corner, you want to check your tight corners and just kind of scanning the area. And you just have to imagine that your enemy could be anywhere, especially like I mentioned before with like sound cues and just common angles that people could possibly be in. Okay, so we've covered a lot of the basics, a lot of fundamental things that can be applied and brought together now for what I like to call combos. So this is just essentially sequencing together the different movement tech that we know, including slide canceling, B-hopping, drop shotting, etc. Quickly, I wanted to explain what's called shouldering, which is essentially where you're just taking a quick peek at an angle that you want to peek or you want to push. And it's essentially just to gather information, so you're not just dry peeking into an angle that you have not seen yet or know what's behind. So it would just look something like this. So you're just going into an angle very briefly and just checking it before they can really do any harm to you if you were to over peek, instead of going out all the way, looking, and then going back behind cover. Another more efficient way to do this would be to slide cancel in and then retreat back to the cover. So that's a big first step to starting off a fight or just gathering information like I mentioned. But say I do show this angle here. I see there's a guy on like the head glitch, or I see a guy running up this side pushing me. Now that I have gathered that information, I know there's one guy coming up on this side pushing me. This is where I can choose for what I want to do. I can come out with a slide cancel and peek him right away. I can do a bunny hop out to the side. And from there, you're going to have to make an in-the-moment decision. So maybe I choose to do a bunny hop out into a slide cancel drop shot. It would look like this. So unfortunately, there's no combo that's really just going to win you a gunfight every time, or the one that's best to do. Everything is going to be pretty situational, and this is just another instance where I wanted to show where doors come into play. Generally speaking, most good players will close the doors behind them. This is basically just to make it so your enemy has the hardest time tracking you. So if I do go through this door and close it behind me, I can either go right and run away. I can reach out, break through that door again. I can go to the left side, wait for them to maybe chase me through. So there's a lot of possibilities that will happen when you do this. Just to give you guys a visual what that looks like, here's a few instances. So say a guy is chasing me. And then I know if I have enough time, I can reposition on this side. He just saw me come through here, assuming I'm gonna go right and close the door behind me. What he doesn't know is that I just made a quick left once that door closed, and now he would come through this door going that direction, and I would just have an easy kill on him. Here's a quick in-game example of what I was just demonstrating. Something so simple as this can get you that extra kill when you need it, when you're in a 1v3 or 1v4 scenario, which ended up helping me with this team wipe.
My fucking...
Something a little more aggressive you can do, like I said, is rechalling. So somebody's chasing me and closing the door behind me. As soon as that closes, that's when you're going to want to come bursting back out. So I'll show it again here. And right there is an instance as well where somebody, if they were very close to you and you get the timing right, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this or had this happen to you or done this to somebody, but they will get slammed open by the door and they will be in this corner most likely, or they will get pushed to the side. I'm going to quickly show an example of that in game happening because I actually had that happen to me just very recently. So I'll put that up right now. Okay, let's move along to what I call redirects. This is just another form of combos where you're going to be essentially changing directions very frequently, and this is going to make it so you're hard to track for the enemy, or you can even potentially break their camera doing these. So let's say I know somebody's coming out that door to peek this angle here. They're going to be coming out and pushing this angle here and seeing me pushing them as well. And this goes back partially to map knowledge and just knowing your surroundings. So maybe I want to use this cover to my advantage. I could do something like this. I'm going to walk you guys through this because it might be kind of confusing to follow. So I'm going to come up, take some shots, take some more shots as I take that cover, re-peek back out with a slide cancel, redirect again to a B-hop while taking more shots, another slide cancel redirect, another one right here, and then another fadeaway B-hop. And again, there's no cookie cutter way to do this. It's just a matter of frequently changing directions to set your enemy's aim off as much as possible. I'm going to flip over to a really good in-game example from my boy Excel, who did this against a streamer, so you can see both point of views. Finally, we have come to the last topic I wanted to cover, which I'm sure you've all been wanting to see, that is breaking cameras. Breaking someone's camera is where you're disorienting someone to the point where they can't track your character model within their point of view. This is most commonly done in close quarter fights where using cover, doors, redirects, different combos like I've mentioned. This will all come into play. And again, there isn't any specific way to do this, but I'm going to show you a few scenarios that will follow a principle that can be pretty easily replicated. So in my opinion, there's 3 main ideas that contribute to breaking somebody's camera, which include timing, doors, as I mentioned before, and some sort of an ego chow, whether that's off of a bait or somebody shot you in the back or whatever it may be. So let's take a look at timings. This is where having an audio cue or some sort of gathered information, like I mentioned with the shouldering earlier, these would be big for implementing into this. So for instance, let's say I just finished shouldering this angle right here. I see that somebody's coming up very close and maybe they shot me a couple times. I'm going to retreat back to this corner to maybe heal up for a quick second or start popping a plate. And with that information that I know this guy is pushing me because he's just shot me and tagged me up, I'm going to listen for any sort of footstep indicator, and that's going to be my cue to challenge him. So let me walk you through this. I'm going to come up, do my initial shoulder. Maybe I get tagged up after I get shot at there. I go back to heal. I'm listening for these footsteps right now. I hear them. I'm going to come out with a slide cancel to ego chow. I'm going to get behind him, take a couple shots, do another redirect, and finish him off with that. So here's a direct in-game scenario of the exact situation I just demonstrated. I'm going to come out, peek. I first challenge this guy, and I see a guy to my right. I'm going to go back to heal. Ego chow here, break his camera first. He's going to readjust for that, so I'm going to do a redirect as well, break his camera again, and get the easy kill. Oh. So the exact same principle can be applied as well using doors. Let's do the same scenario here. I'm going to come up, shoulder. I'm going to get shot at. Maybe this time I don't have time to heal, so I'm just going to run through this door here, close it behind me, and as soon as I hear that he's close, or I know that when I just got shot at that he was close, I'm going to want to come through that door, breaking his camera again, and then doing another redirect. Okay, to recap breaking someone's camera, you need to convince somebody that you are going in a specific direction so they commit to taking a fight in that direction. And then you're going to want to follow up with a redirect of some sort in the direction that they were facing before they initially started looking at you. So I want you guys to pay close attention to this because it's actually a pretty important detail. I want you guys to imagine that I'm the one that's getting my camera broken. So if somebody's coming around this corner and going to break my camera going this way, they're going to come around this corner, slide behind me, and now they're going to be here. And then once they are here, you're going to want to do your redirect, but this is the important part. You want to do the redirect back in the direction that you initially came from. So just to go over this again really quickly so you guys really understand this. And don't forget, in this situation, it's going to be me that is getting my camera broken. So I'm coming up to this angle here, and at the same time, somebody's going to get a timing on me where they can slide behind me. And at this point, they already have the advantage. So maybe they're going to get a shot or two off on me before I turn and bring my crosshair all the way back around where I can see them. And this is the point where they're going to want to do the redirect. So I've just caught my crosshair back up to them. And at this point, you want to do that one more additional redirect, whether it's another bunny hop or a slide cancel, back in that direction that I just corrected my aim from. And with all that being said, in my opinion, that would be a textbook way to break somebody's camera. All right, boys, I'm not one to do outros or anything, but I put a lot of work into this and I really hope it did help some of you out. So if it did help you out, I'd really appreciate if you dropped a sub. At the time of this recording, I'm just over 7,000 subs and I'm really trying to get to 10K. So if you could do that, it would mean a lot. But that's all I do have to say. So thank you very much for watching the whole way through and I really appreciate you. Peace out, boys.